Hey, welcome to the Eddie Hyatt Podcast. I'm so glad you've joined me on this Monday morning. I want to share with you some things. Actually, I shared yesterday in a service at Lifeline Worship Center in Reno, Texas. Reno, Texas is in the northeast part of Texas, probably 110 miles northeast of Dallas, Texas. About that same distance from where we live in Grapevine, Texas. And anyway, I shared this message in the Sunday morning service. It was very, very well received. And so I've decided I want to share the essence of that message with you. It's about avoiding, not yielding to unreasonable fears. Because you see, most of our fears are unreasonable. They should not be listened to. They should not be yielded to. And in I believe it was 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt, in his inaugural address, just been elected president of the United States, the nation was facing some very daunting situations. America was in what's been called the Great Depression. Anyway, Franklin Roosevelt, in the beginning of his speech, he made this statement. He said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And then he made the point, he's talking about how so much of fear is unreasonable. And so the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And fear will cause us to cringe and to pull back and to not do the things that we ought to do, and cause us not to do things that God calls us to do, and He puts in our heart to do, that if we would do them would bring great blessings. But in fear, too often, we cringe, we pull back, and we miss out on the blessing that God has for us by yielding to those unreasonable fears, those unjustified fears. That's the basis of Franklin Roosevelt saying the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I remember reading a person, and I'm sorry I don't remember their name right now, but this was a person who was well known in their area, in their vocation, and who had become very successful in life. But they told about how they had to overcome fear, and that God gave them a dream to help them to understand that fear, most of our fears are very unreasonable, unjustified, and we must not yield to them. He said in the dream he was in this small enclosed room, and it was like a cell, very thick walls, no windows, no way out except there was one door. But by the door there was this massive, dark creature, apparently, who was guarding the door. And he said every time he would make a move to escape, to go out the door, this creature would move in front of the door and stand there with a menacing glare on his face, and he would retreat back to the corner. Then a little later, he would try going out the door again, but again, this fearsome-looking creature would move in front of the door with this menacing, glaring look on his face that put him in fear, and he would withdraw back to the corner. Well, this happened several times, but finally, in desperation, he lunged at this creature and grabbed him, and he said all of a sudden, when he grabbed the creature, it was like there was nothing there. It was an empty suit, and the suit, the garment, just went limp in his hands. There was nothing inside of it, and he walked out the door a free person. And he realized that that was the situation with so many things in life that he was allowing to intimidate him and to put him in fear, that he merely needed to go forward and grasp them, take a hold of them, and he would find that they were really nothing. They were that it was merely a ghost. It was merely a phantom that really had no substance or power. And my friends, that is the situation with so much of what we deal with today. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 7, Paul said, God has not given us a spirit of fear. You know, fear comes from sin. It comes from the devil. The devil wants to lock you in to a room of fear. He wants to keep you from the blessings of God. Shake off the fear today. There is so much fear in the world in which we live. Even our governments try to control us with fear. But my friends, God does not want you living in fear. He does not want you living with a spirit of fear. 2 Timothy 1:7, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound, disciplined mind. You see, the world does live in fear. Proverbs, I think it's 28:1 says, the wicked flee when no one is pursuing, but the righteous are bold as a lion. My friends, rise up. 1 John 4:4, greater is the one who is in you than the one who is in the world. Shake off the fear and go forward in faith and do all of those things that God has put in your heart to do. He is with you, and you will walk through that door of freedom. I'm Eddie Hyatt. This is the Eddie Hyatt Podcast. And check out my website, EddieHyatt.com, EddieHyatt.com. You'll find a lot of helpful resources there that will help you walk in the victory that Jesus Christ purchased for us on the cross. And I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.